I'm making this video to Cat Smith. And before I get into it, I just want to give a small history lesson. And it's about the Nazis, and particularly Hitler, when it came to the white empires of the world, especially the British Empire. Hitler had an admiration for these empires, these white empires, as he saw it, because it showed the superiority of the white races over everybody else. So the fact that the British, the Belgians, the Dutch, the French, they can colonize all of these colored places, show the superiority of the white race. And Hitler liked that. And when he saw what they were doing, he wanted to do as well, but to Russia. However, because of Hitler's actions, it didn't. You'd be surprised that his actions caused the liberation of the colored world. Meaning, because of Hitler, the British had to bankrupt their entire fucking empire just to beat Hitler, and so they lost their empire because of the Nazis. Same with the French, the Belgians, the Dutch. These were all countries that Hitler defeated, and these countries went into debt times 10 to try to win back. They eventually did win in 1945, but they lost their empire. But once they lost their empires, well, these colored countries all over the world, Indonesia and Africa and Indochina, they all became free or liberated eventually. They fought for their independence. They became independent countries. But they only became independent countries because the mother countries of England, Belgium, and France had thoroughly got their asses kicked by the Germans that they couldn't hold on to these empires no more. So the liberation of the colored world, ironically, came because of the Nazis. Now, Hitler didn't intend on that to happen. He didn't intend on that to happen. He thought the opposite of that. But his indirect actions led to that. That can't be disputed. That's a fact. The British, the French, all of them would have still had their empires probably till this day if it weren't for the Nazis bankrupting them and kicking their asses all over fucking Europe and the world. Uh, and I say this to show that even though someone might not have true intentions, their unintended intentions can cause even more effect than anything else, even if it's the total opposite of what they believe. The reason why I'm telling you the story is because it reminds me of what you did to Lamar. When Lamar lied and said that blacks got him fired, he went to his job and he told his job, hey, blacks are going to call, blacks are going to say this, blacks are going to say that. Be aware on blacks. And he told his white em- employees this shit. And the white employees are like, okay, we get it. They're going to be calling. We know how to, give them, the runaround. And so when the black person would call Lamar's job, they get the runaround. So it wasn't until you, Cat Smith, called Lamar's job to get the truth. Now, the only reason why you were able to get the truth compared to anyone else in the sector is because you were white. You used your white privilege, the way you sound and everything, to be able to get to the bottom of the truth. Did Lamar get me fired? Did Lamar get fired? And once you found out that that was not true, it was because of you that we found that out. That Lamar actually was not fired because of black people. He actually lied. But we only got to the bottom of that because you were willing to use your white privilege to get to the bottom of the truth. Something that neither of us could do. I couldn't do it. No one in the black sector could do it, if you're black, that is, because they were going to give you the runaround, as Lamar told him to do. Now, he didn't tell him to look out for white people. He just said look out for black people because he believed his lie. But thankfully, you, Cat Smith, using your white privilege and being off code, you got to the bottom of the truth. Now, and by doing that, you show how much of a coon Lamar is. You show that he's a liar and so on and so forth. Now, and show that he was lying on black people. Now, I don't think you did that to help black people. It's just you had your own little evil intentions on doing that, which is great. Fine. But indirectly, because of your actions, you showed not only is Lamar a coon, a liar, and a piece of shit, but also he has no shame whatsoever. No shame whatsoever. You showed that with that phone call when you called the receptionist and you made up the whole, hey, I just want to tell you how great Lamar was, and they confirmed that shit, even though you were lying. But that's good. You used your white privilege to be able to get in to get the truth. Which, if you sounded black or whatever, they would have gave you the runaround like they gave to other people. So that's why I have respect for you, Cat Smith, because you used your white privilege in such a way to get to the bottom of the truth to call out a fucking coon. And for that, I'll give any white person respect when they get off code to get to the bottom of the truth when a racist and a bigot like Lamar is trying to, pull the wool over people's eyes. I respect that. In fact, you're the only white person who's ever done that in this sector. In fact, you're probably the only white person I've ever seen do that online. Most white people usually get along and all that shit, including you. But in this one little instance, Cat Smith, you actually, did something unintentionally. Like I said, I don't believe you were intentionally trying to, be like a crusader or something like that, trying to say, hey, you can't talk about black people like that. I don't believe you were like that. No. You're evil. Okay, it is what it is. That's why I'm using Hitler comparison. But I respect the fact that you did what you did because you got to the bottom of the truth and you broke the bullshit of a fucking coon. I respect that. The same way I respect the fact that even though the Nazis were evil, to me they're all fucking evil, the Nazis, the British, the French. I respect the fact that the Nazis broke the back of the British Empire to free the colored world. That's a fact. Not saying that I'm a pro-Nazi, it's just the fact that, hey, it's what Hitler did. He didn't intend on doing it to free colored people in the end, but that's just what happened. You didn't intend to prove Lamar to be a lying fucking coon, but that's what happened. So that's the reason why, for me, I have some respect for you, Cat Smith, because you did that. And again, I know you would deny it. You say, no, I wasn't hiding. I get it. You gotta lie. That's what you do. But I'm just telling you in the context of what it is. With that said, you're getting this fucking heat from Jay Blaque. And my advice to you, Cat Smith, is just to ignore him. The dude's a fucking liar. He's pathetic. He's a bullshit artist at best. He is trying very hard to get on Lamar's jiggy. He's trying very hard. That's why he's saying things like, Lamar, you're trying to imitate an innocent black man. An innocent black man? Lamar is far from an innocent anything, much less a black man. That's a bigger insult, but he's far from fucking innocent anything. And the fact that he keeps implying that Lamar's innocent is total bullshit. I heard what him and Tiffany said. He said he banged on her door, walked in, and said, hey, if you're going to go to sleep, you go to sleep in my room. She was perfectly fine in her room going to sleep. So if Lamar didn't do that, we could all conclude that Tiffany would have just went to sleep in her room, like she was doing. Only until Lamar banged on the door, walked in, and the whole scene erupted, and he told her, if you're going to go to sleep, you can go sleep in my room. And we all know what happens with all that shit. Then he lies and said that as they're walking back to the hall to his room, he goes and detours back to the fucking bar while she's going to his room. Well, why would you do that for? You spent all that time banging on the door just to go back down to the bar? You were getting a fucking alibi. There's nothing innocent about Lamar when it comes to that fucking night. There's just not. I know you're a friend of Lamar and all that shit, but I'm just telling you, ain't nothing innocent about it. You know that, I know that, we all heard this shit. But according to Jay Blaque, Lamar's fucking innocent. That's some bullshit. Now, I'm showing this Kobe Bryant, Eagle, Colorado case when Kobe Bryant, I believe, did rape that girl in Eagle, Colorado, the white girl. Now, the unfortunate thing was that the girl that Kobe Bryant raped, that I believe he raped in Eagle, Colorado, she was a slut. She was a whore. Now, that doesn't mean that she deserves to be raped, but it's just one of those things when if you claim that and they go do a rape test and you got various different dudes' semen on you and you got various different dudes' hairs in your fucking panties, you're making a case very hard for the DA to prosecute. And in many ways, and again,